boy, oh boy. You know what time it is. Yes, it's what we were meant to do in the last video, which was customize this goddamn ship. As you can see, I have painted it, and I'll show you how to paint it. And I'm also going to show you how to make it into something different. So let's go to customize it. First, what you want to do is you want to head over here and talk to ship service technician. Below, one toggle down, you'll see I'd like to view and modify my ships.
Okay, no problem.
Ooh, it already looks good, guys. If you want to know how to get this ship, which is the Razor Leaf, make sure you check out the previous video. It's definitely a must get until you get the one from killing the Crimson Fleet. So to start, we're going to look at upgrading ships. So if I was to press A here, which I'm not too sure what the prompt would be on PC, you can see I can go through on the top left from weapon 1, which is my lasers, or weapon 0, let's say, to weapon 1, which then it highlights on the ship what exactly I'm hovering over. So you see the lasers there highlighted. Weapon 2, engines, and then the engines yet again, because I've got some underneath to give me that extra bit of power. Now the way you can upgrade these, you click A on the engines, you can upgrade them in that sense. It gives it a bit more thrust, and then down at the bottom right you can see it's just improving the mass of the ship. Now the whole idea obviously of upgrading a ship is you're not too really bothered in upgrading engines and stuff like that unless your mass is high. What you want to do is you want to press X to go to the ship builder, and you kind of have like a free roam camera like you can see here. This goes to make me think you can make a ship absolutely massive, because if you look at this checkerboard, it says 22 meters upwards, 22 meters forwards, and 16 meters on each friggin' side. So it's 32 meters width, 44 meters in length. That is crazy. Yeah, as this stands, come out here and actually look at this ship. That is no way near the max size that you can get. It's probably not even a third. So what, your end of your ship will probably be hanging over here somewhere, and you'll literally be scraping the edge of that wall. You'll probably be just on the white boundary there. It's gonna be an absolute joke. If you look at it, I think it's to do with this checkered line here. So probably the front end of your ship would be hanging right above me here. Anyway, let's get back into it. Okay, so let's go back to the ship builder. You now got the no cap camera. You want to press A to add. So initially check the flight check. All systems are normal. All the weapons are linked. Go and head and rename this ship. So we're no longer going to call it the Razor Leaf. We're going to call it the Death Star. Confirm. The name is changed. This is now the Death Star. So here what you want to do, or what you can do, I'm going to literally just give you the rundown of everything. You can select every item, take it off. You can flip it and put it back on. Now, if I was to add, I'm going to just start one here that's blank. If I was to add, let's start off with, so you've got multiple different types of cockpits. They've all got different prices, and they've all got different things that they can do. So if you look down on the bottom, this is the main part of the screen that we want to focus on. You see the hull +5, cargo +200, max crew +2, but it does increase the mass. Now, if I go ahead and change all this, flick through it all, you can see that it does improve certain stats, and it does decrease certain stats. So this is where I'm going to build a ship right next to this, just to see how it's looking. So if we go straight away and get the best cockpit here, let's say, can I just drag it over more? No way. Look how far. Wait. So I'm at the edge. It's 80 meters. 80 meters each side, guys. 80 meters forward. You can have this 160 by 160 friggin' meters, the ship on this game. Wow. Right, let's place this. Now that you've placed it, you want to go ahead, and then you'd want to go and get something like a Nova Galactic Engineering Bay 3-in-1. Now, if you do a 2-in-1, you can actually change what is in that. That's an engineering bay, but if you click on this one, you can actually go through and select the type of one you want by just pressing right on the arrows. Probably the right on PC, I'm not too sure, but they all say something different. If you look at the top left and you focus on the blue highlighted box, this one is all-in-one berth. This one is an all-in-one berth B. Armory, captain's quarters, computer core, control station, infirmary, living quarters, science lab, workshop. And that's basically so you can have a ship that has absolutely everything on it. You'd ideally want to be able to get one of everything in a perfect world, but I don't know if that's going to be possible. I mean, let's have a look to see what it does if we do go ahead and get one of everything. So we got an armory, computer core. Did we get let's get a control station, infirmary, living quarters, science lab, and workshop. So that's all the different bays there. The only problem with doing a build that looks like this is when you put your cockpit it automatically attaches to it, but you won't, unless you put 2 cockpits on, which is going to look a bit odd, you won't have a nice base. So you'd want to go ahead and probably attach it something like this, or vice versa, switch it around, do something like that. However, if you press down on the arrows, you can put stuff underneath and you can put stuff above, so you can literally alternate and make things look rather nice. This one's a control station, so a control station in theory you'd want to have right next to the cockpit, so we'll have the captain's quarters above the living quarters. Now that's going over the habs. If we go over to the reactors, reactors are the main thing for the ship. As you can see, reactors give your ship skill power or ability power. You see that below or top left the screen, it's highlighted blue and it's giving it more or less of what might be needed. Obviously I can't get that one yet, but if I was to go for the 124 wattage there, you're going to want to place this somewhere that's quite secure, which is not going to get blitzed. So if we go to the other ship, for example, the reactor that they have got is positioned here at the top. It's not easy target. Definitely not easy to be hit. I would personally put it like there, and it's kind of at the back of your ship, so it's going to be surrounded by your engines, not really going to get hit. We want to add then again, after we've done the reactor depends on what you're looking for, so it's completely up to you. As you can see here, we're starting to get errors. Ship has unattached modules. Ship exceeds max length, width, or height. So that's probably because we've got this ship and this ship separate. And then only 1 cockpit is allowed. Yet again, because we've got the 2 cockpits, as you can see. Only 1 reactor is allowed. Landing bay needs to be connected to the cockpit. Docker modules needs to have an interior connection, etc. So we'll go over and we will go and head through. So we've got the reactor. Now we want to, what you'd want to do is you want to put a shield on the bad boy. So as a shield, you're going to want something that's pretty decent, pretty hefty. Let's go ahead and put the defender shield on. Actually, before we do that, what we're best off probably doing is going to the dockers, selecting the top docker, and placing that here, in between here. That just gives us a little bit more on the top that we can work with. Then we will go and attach the shield to the side. The reason I wanted to attach the shield back here is because obviously at the front is where you're going to want your weapons. So you don't really want to obstruct your ports. You see all the blue squares that you see on the screen with a circular dot? That's where you can attach things. Now, yet again, going ahead and attaching things, this can make things a little bit different. You don't have to attach it to an entrance point or something like that. What you could do is you could head over to structural, and you've got all these different attachments. So you've got a weapon mount there. So that, what that does is gives you a slant, so you can have your weapons on funny angles to make it look cooler. You can have portholes, so you can kind of like just look out. As it says there on the left, structural component is largely cosmetic and allows you to modify your ship's shape, size, personality, and silhouette. So I could, for instance, grab that, chuck on here, and it gives me an option to look out of my ship. Wow. Does add character, though. Yeah, again, you've got them, so you can look out on the side. You've got the ones at the top. You got the belly, so if you want to make it look a little bit sharper underneath, you could put that one on it. And you got the bracers, so if you want to do something wacky with that, you can. You got braking engines. Yet again, everything on the left is what it does, and it's all purely cosmetical, so you can make your ships look however you want them to look. I believe there's some stuff over there, which there is where the landing gear is, which is simply just cosmetical. The radiators, yet again, are cosmetical. You would have thought they'd have an actual play in this or a part in this. They do not, so don't be fooled. A lot of these don't have part in this. However, they have got a certain bit where you can attach things to it, so you could put a weapon on it. It still is a viable option. If you wanted to put that in the back, you could then attach weapons to that, which will give you a tail. You got wings, so if we went and grabbed this wing, for instance, we could put it along the side and make it look a little bit more like an actual ship. Like the Nova Bracer, this is a good one because it lets you attach things to all sides. It weighs nothing on the mass, as you see on the bottom right, and it just adds that extra flair. This is a braking engine, so you could make your engine look absolutely insane with this. You can make it look like an absolute fighter jet. And then you've got these, which just make your ship look like they flow in a whole state going upwards, so it doesn't look too quirky or too odd. Now, what you can do with these, you can flip them so they can go on either side. As you can see what I'm doing here, I flip them. I can even bring them forwards a little bit more. That way I can have a little bit more stuff placed there in the middle. You can change the style of it. So all these things that you are seeing, make sure you go ahead and if you see them with bars on the side, where I'm highlighting over them, you can change the actual style of that. So if that's to go above, it's a cowling, for instance. If I went and put that one, it reverses it. But if I put that one and I put it on top, it just makes it look like I've got a longer cockpit on the plane itself. Engine struts, yet again, completely useless. You can make it so the engines look better position, nothing major. It's just purely for customization. One that I would recommend though is this Nova weapon mount. So this one you could put wherever is preferred, and it's very easy to put 4 weapons on the sides, and also you can put 2 on the inside. So if you had lasers, let's say, if I went ahead and went to weapons, if I went to my lasers, not only could I... Oh, sorry, these ones you can only put on the outside. But if I went to something that's not so wide, did like these electro beams, for instance, you can see that them electro beams fit on the inside. So you've got weapons on the inside. You can have weapons on the outside. Don't know how this works, guys, but you can also put certain weapons behind certain weapons. It should not make sense at all, because they should not, in effect, be able to fire. Like, how the hell is that laser going to fire through that? But as long as there's an attachment slot, you can put it there. So do not worry about that. Right, let's quickly delete that. I'm going to just leave it like that for now. Obviously, I've gone over budget, so we can't actually see the final product. Landing base. So landing base, yet again, this is the one that you want. You could choose however you want it. You can see where the entrance hole will be. It will be the far back one. You could have this offset a little bit, so you could attach something to the front if you're looking for cosmetics yet again. But you want to put the landing bay, whatever's preferred. Let's say this one for this ship, and you're going to want it underneath. Now, where you want it, that is completely up to you. If I was to have looked, that was the control room. So in theory, you wouldn't want it under the control room. You probably want it underneath the living quarters, like so. Now, would you want it coming out the front, or would you want it coming out the back? That's a decision you make. If you want it to come out the back, you'd have to come in... Oh, it's not letting us flip it. So normally, it lets us flip. In this case, it's not letting us flip the landing bay. Well, guys, maybe you can't flip the landing bay. So first for everything. Well, we put the landing bay there regardless. Cargo, always a must. You can make your ship look like an absolute crazy shipping container, or you can just use it simply, get the smaller ones so it looks really nice and tidy. But in this case, let's just go with the all-star mega shipping containers. Now, we could put them there. We can yet again flip it so we can get it on the other side. Now, we got them 2 massive shipping containers. You can see the cargo would be huge on this ship. The ship's got incredible functionality because the ship's got every single workstation. In this case, because we've got all the weapons at the front, I'd move like the shield closer to the front. I would then go ahead and we've got the docker on there, I'd go and get my engines. So for a ship like this, I think it would only make sense to get an engine that looks like this. Mind you, that might be slightly overkill. What do we reckon? Yeah, I think that's overkill. No, it just looks a bit ridiculous. I mean, if we got these engines, you could put them at the top. That look really nice. As you can kind of get an idea now, it does link up to anything that's got the square, so you could actually link it up to the reactor, so that makes it look like an engine. And you could go ahead and get one of the top-down engines like this one. You could put them all the way along the back if you wanted to, like this. But what I would say do, put it on top of there, and then you got a real clean engine bay at the back of this ship. It looks real fast. This looks like an absolute jet. I might actually have to go ahead and make this, get a couple of ships, sell them, make a bit of money, and go ahead and make my own ship. Fuel tank. So fuel tanks can store fuel, which is obviously used by your grav drive. This one is going to be your biggest in that case. You can see the grav jump fuel, which is situated underneath the ballistic solutions. The highlighted on the left-hand side. This one's got 100. So if you were to get 2 of them, pop them down there, and then you'd have loads of fuel for this ship, and you probably wouldn't have to worry. Now, one thing you are definitely probably going to need for this ship is landing gear. You've got multiple types of landing gear. You've got the landing gear that you see on that ship over there, or you've got the landing gear that's like feet. So lander thrust and hull, wouldn't worry too much about what does what. It just depends cosmetically what you would like. In this case, I don't want it to look too clunky, so I'd probably go for 4 of these. That way it keeps it nice and clean, gives it loads of stability for when it lands. This one, as you can see, it's only got the legs there. It's also got some legs underneath there. You can see that where they've put these, they put some legs underneath just so it doesn't completely take it up. Now, a grav drive is going to be a must. This is what gets you to travel far. It does have a lot of mass though, unfortunately. Obviously does increase your jump range, but because we've got the other ship, it's not showing us that. So make sure you go ahead and get a grav jump, or grav drive, let's say, sorry. Now in this case, you know where I put this top out? I would remove that. I would probably put my grav drive there, but does that make them useless now? It does. So I would switch it up a little bit, pull that to the side, push that back, bring this forward, and bring them back just to make it look a bit cooler. And that looks like that's part of that weapon. Just makes sense, and just makes it look a little bit more fitting for the way the build looks. So I've gone and got the best grav drive. Now we've obviously gone over the hab, I don't know how it's the habs, to like the living quarters, the reactors we've gone over, shields we haven't completely gone over, but obviously you can work it out. A shield is so when you take damage, you can take a little bit more damage depending on what shield you've got. That's why they've all got different prices. You can go ahead and upgrade all these. Then you've got all the portholes as well, so if you want to make it so you've got windows on your ship so you can look out. If you want to give yourself some fancy wings, then go ahead and do so. Give yourself some fancy wings on the side. If I just want to go and, I don't know, a whole side of a plane with these bits, you can do so. Cargo on. Alright, the docker. Because we moved that docker, I would go ahead and get a flat docker like this and put it on the top like so, and that gives us an escape place for us to leave on the top. You could put it on the sides, but I would say have it on the top. That's a top docker. It might be obstructed, so that will be obstructed because the engine is higher, so that's going to be actually hard to do. You'd probably have to go and delete that, get a top docker, and actually go ahead and put that on top. That way there would be no obstructions. Now, you know, we've gone ahead and put these weapons on here. This is a major topic you need to go over. You can see there's so many errors, but the reason we're getting the errors is because that ship over there is still here. If I was to remove that ship, then I'd be able to go and work on this one. But in order for me to go ahead and have this ship, it's going to cost me 104,000. I don't have them credits. I'd love to have them credits because I think the ship looks pretty cool, and I'd love to see what it looks like on the inside with all that equipment. I don't know if it'd be able to travel too far though. Right, so you want to go ahead, you want to press start, and then you want to press the right bumper, and then you want to come over here. You see these weapons? Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to edit these weapons because of the way they are. But you press start, you press weapons, you go down, select the weapon, and you see at the top left you've got weapon 0, weapon 1, weapon 2, or W0, W1, W2 on the top left. All you'd have to do, depending on what way you'd want it, so right trigger, left trigger, and Y, when you're shooting in the spacecraft, you would just select what one. So putting it in weapon 0 would be your right trigger, putting it in weapon 1 would be your left trigger, and putting in weapon 2 would be your Y, which is typically your missile lock, and it just makes it a little bit easier. It's not a weapon that you're going to use all the time, and it just fires it up. Now, additional customization you could do if you go and hover over these objects, like let's say this crate is green, it just doesn't fit. Click in the left stick and look at the the coloring that you can put on your ships. You can make things look bright. Now, unfortunately, this is only changing the metal. This doesn't have 1, 2, and 3, so they would permanently have to stay green. But if I was to go to this one, for instance, and go ahead and change that to the brightest red, you can see depending on what one I'm on, 1, 2, or 3 is where it will go ahead and do that adaptation. So now if I was to go to saturation all the way to red, brightness all the way up on the color chart, that will make that extremely bright red. You can go to the top one, scroll to the right till you get the perfect color, and you can go ahead and make some insane looking ships. Guys, I think that completely covers it off when it comes to ship modifications. I've shown you need landing gears, you need docks, you need bays. Bays obviously give you more crew. Everything you want to keep aware of is the bottom. So you see at the bottom I've got hull, shield, cargo, max crew, jump range, mobility, top speed, mass. Range is going to be, as well as cargo, going to be your two main ones. So if you can keep your cargo high and your jump range high, you're set. The more mass you have, the less mobility you have. So in order to up your mobility, You're going to need more engines. When you get more engines, you don't want to put too much on because obviously engines still create mass. You want to then upgrade your engines to reduce that mass. As you saw before, I go ahead and delete all of this. Now that I'm back to my normal stats on my ship, if I was to go ahead and add, what was I going to add? An engine. You can see here, adding this engine adds mass and reduces range, which is not good. We want more jump range. So you wouldn't want to go ahead and put one of these engines on because it's just not going to do you any favors. So your best thing to do is just going through each item on your ship and looking at the bottom to see what it's going to improve. None of these are going to improve me at all. If anything, they're all going to cause a negative impact. That would give it so I could get a bit more crew and just provide a little bit more mass, which is going to be fine. Do with something like that. But ideally, yeah, you want to be able to have more crew. Then you've got your reactors. That's going to give me more hull. Basic reactors provide power to all of your ship's systems. That means I can have more grav, shield, engine, weapon 1, weapon 2, weapon 3. But every ship does have a reactor, so ideally you just want to change the one that you've got. Your shield, so this will then increase your shield. You can see at the bottom it's going to increase my shield. That's not really going to provide much more mass, but it's going to increase my shield drastically. Structural, these are cosmetic, and you can customize your ship to make it look like you want. If you want to make it look like a giant fish, you can make it look like a giant fish that flies through the sky. Weapons, I've shown you about the weapons. All you need to do is go and select them to weapon 1, weapon 2, or weapon 0. Bays, this is essential so you can land and get out of your ship. You obviously need a dock as well so you can get at the top. Cargo, remember, the more cargo is going to be better, but you've got to be wary with your cargo because depending on how you put it, it depends on how much mass it's going to provide. The more mass, the less mobility. Cockpits, now these are normally very important because obviously the cockpits provide more crew space. You can see just by having a different cockpit to the one I've currently got, which is this one, it would give me 2 more crew, but it wouldn't give me 2 more crew. It's only going to give me 2 more crew because I've already got a cockpit, and this is just adding another cockpit to that. Typically, when you want to look at on the left, you can see crew stations and hull, and you want to just read them descriptions to really get the ones that you want. Now, obviously, you will go ahead and unlock more because you know we have the top docker. This one's got the slim docker on the bottom. We haven't unlocked everything for our ship, as well as we haven't unlocked all these extra landing gears that you see here. We did not have that. So there's many and many of things that you need to unlock, and this comes with shipbuilding. But as we stand right now, this is the most we can do. And hopefully, guys, this video helped you with upgrading your ship, building your ship, changing your colors, and doing everything to do with the ship. If this was helpful, if you do need any other questions asked, please leave them in the comments down below. I'd try to reply to every single comment. Like, follow, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.